It has been 2 weeks since the election, and we have talked a lot about the media landscape in America, how and where people get their news, information, and culture, and how it's radically changing. But it is the quiet companion, the radio, that still speaks to more Americans than anything else. iHeartRadio reaches 250 million people a month. That's more than Facebook, more than YouTube, and it's the #1 broadcast radio company and #1 podcast publisher in the United States. This company knows a thing or two about what Americans care about. That is why I've invited Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia, to join me for tonight's keynote conversation. Bob, I'm so glad to see you, first of all.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We came out of this election and people said, what did I miss? Well, the radio is on in every home in America. What did they hear?
It depends on who you're talking about saying that. Because there's some people go, oh, yeah, this is exactly what I thought would happen. Friends here in Manhattan and other places I spend a lot of time probably said, what? We're living in a world where we often just listen to our friends. We listen to the echo chamber, the way media is structured, especially with social. You can get yourself in the bubble. I mean, the biggest problem I have is I go see advertisers. They go, no one listens to radio anymore. I go, do you look at any facts? And by the way, if I'm in St. Louis, they know everybody listens to the radio. In Manhattan, they may not know it. And so I think it's a world in which we've lost touch with the other side. There are many different opinions out there, and I think we've also lost a bit, and you see it reflected in the attitude of the country, respect for it's okay to disagree. I can have great friends and they have opposite views than I do. We used to laugh at each other. Now it's like everybody tries to get us mad at each other.
So what is it that radio knows? The fact that you have all this data, speak to all these people, I mean, the fact that you're from Mississippi, like, I think that being from New Jersey is my superpower. What do you know that we don't?
Well, look, I know that there are a lot more people in this country than the people who live in Manhattan. And when people call us the media elite, there's probably some truth to that. We all hang out with each other, we all know each other, we all talk to each other, and there becomes a dialogue. But what people are really interested in is they're interested in just living their lives. They want a safe life. They want to take care of their friends, their family.
Then why don't political consultants know this?
I have no idea why political consultants don't know this. I think, the political consultants are the same thing as us media people, is they live in a very small world and they talk to each other, and pretty soon their own conversation turns into fact. I mean, I face it just in business of people not understanding that most people in America drive to work, drive to school, drive around, and you know who keeps them company? The radio. Our radio stations are all about companionship. Our job is just to keep people company. Companionship
is tied to trust, right? My trusted companion.
Right.
Is that part of sort of this divide in media, that the kind of media that I exist in is packaged and sanitized and performed for an audience, and people might tune in and receive it, but that's different from my ride-along companion that I sort of hear from every day with little tidbits of their life and my life.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what they're looking for is exactly what you say. You trust your friends. And if you look at radio, radio is the most trusted media. TV's second. It's about 3 times social. And it's interesting. I forgot where I saw the stat. About 2/3 of America say they get news from social. And about 2/3 of those people say, but I think it's misinformation. And you go, wow, there's something wrong with that, isn't there? But our job is, and if you build trust, you've got to be reliable, because I'm there every day. It's not like one time. They didn't come for something. They just came to hang out. And they've got to believe you. And the good news is, we, because we're broadcast radio, are regulated by the federal government. So we have some assurance that it's pretty safe. We operate on standards that probably most of America does not. We get a big fine if somebody accidentally on the air says the wrong word. We have dump buttons in all of our radio stations with everybody there. So if somebody says a bad word, you got to push the button to get the 15-second delay so it doesn't go out on the air, so we don't get fined. And that, believe it or not, as tough as that is, it probably assures that it's a pretty safe environment.
Okay, but do we overlook that because, again, you forget about your trusted companion, right? Because you know it's always there.
You take it for granted. If you say, what did you do today? People probably say, I was listening to the radio. They just listen to the radio. It's like they got up, they ate breakfast, they turn on the radio. It's interesting, Alexa, the #1 use case on Alexa is radio. Number 2 is the timer. Number 3 is weather. Guess what? Timer and radio, clock radio. Clock radios went away. It used to be by everybody's bedside. Now they have the clock radio. It's Alexa.
But you know what's so funny, right? People can't even find what to watch on television because they want to watch a show and they don't know the platform. But if I get in a car, I just go Z100, which is the same thing I've pressed for 40 years.
You got it.
Okay, so where is all this going? What can we learn from this?
Well, look, I think one thing we learn from it is that all of us in the media business is we really do have to look at data. We really have to stop listening to our narratives, which aren't based on data, because we're not going to help people understand each other. And if I think there's one issue we have in this country, put your political beliefs aside, is we got to learn to be able to talk to each other and let somebody say something we don't agree with and don't like and we don't vilify. We just go, oh, well, you and I disagree, or you're crazy, but I love you. And that's the way it used to be. And we could have civil discourse and we could build society. And I just think that's the issue we have to work on. We got to work on it every minute we get.
Do you think we're trying to?
I think most Americans today absolutely want that. You see that in all the research, that people are tired of the fighting. Just, can we all agree? Can we just be civil?
Then how do we get the media there?
That's a good question. You know, you're in the business. The problem is, if you stir people up, you get a better rating. And by the way, it's the algorithm problem with social. They get more engagement if you get people all riled up. How do we have an economic model so it's something other than I got to rile people up to get a rating so I can make money?
Well, maybe if we started to realize that love is actually more powerful than hate, we can embrace that.
Yes, it is.
Bob, it is a pleasure to see you.
Great seeing you.
My dear, dear friend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.